I listened to the presentation by the leader of the House with regards to the bills for amendments that he read out. And the one with regards to the report of a bill for an act to amend the Criminal Code Act, Cap C 38, Laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 2004, blah, blah, blah. I think there are some assumptions here that are not valid in the light of current realities around the world, including Nigeria. When these laws were passed, it was assumed, based on strong norms and tradition, that only men may defile a girl or a baby, or only men may rape a woman or a girl. From what we know now, the world has changed. Sometimes the moral levels have collapsed, and we now have to deal with complicated issues of child abuse. We have cases reported around the world, Nigeria inclusive. They may not be in the headlines because people are ashamed to talk about them, where young boys are violated by gay men. Whereas gay is still illegal, but the truth is there are boys who have reported being molested by adults. So I thought that whereas the use of the word boy or woman was appropriate at the time, as things start now, the proper word to use is any person, whether the person is a girl or a boy, a woman or a man who is molested or forcefully violated. I think they should also be subject to the same punishment. There are a lot of things happening behind the scene that people don't want to talk about. But the truth is, I know of very highly placed men who have been found guilty of defiling or forcefully coercing a boy to have, these gay practices. So I think that we should take those into account in making amendments, so that rather than specify girl or woman, boy, girl or woman, I think the more appropriate word would be, if any person does anything, the word person will cover whether man or woman. Or if we want greater clarity, we can emphasize whether a boy or a girl. It's a pity that in this country, many of these cases are not reported, but you find that in Europe, not a few otherwise responsible men have been found involved in defiling small boys. And some women locking up a man and forcing them to do things against their wish. So I feel we should replace, whenever we use the word boy, we should also put, a girl, we should also put boy. Whenever we put woman, we should also put man. Or otherwise we use one word, person. That person could be a boy or a girl, a man or a woman. Just to reflect the reality of the fact that things have changed beyond our imaginations. Thank you, Mr. President. And the same thing is covered in all the provisions. And so when I was governor, some judges complained that they found that the penalty for defilement is even smaller. It's less than the penalty for rape. I thought defilement is a much more serious offense than rape. When a man of 20 years old, 40 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old defile a baby of 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, people like that should be in prison for at least 10 years. Because they would have destroyed those babies innocently before they grow up. Defilement should attract more punishment than rape. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Leader of the Senate.
I also propose that rather limit it to wherever you have the word girl or woman, it should be replaced with person. And for greater clarity, it should include boy or man. So if I would then read it, it should be something like, wherever you have girl, add boy. Wherever you have man, wherever you have woman, add man. So I so move, Mr. President.
The Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand to second the motion ably moved by Senator Adam Oshiomole that anywhere you have man or woman, it should be replaced with a person. Mutatis mutandis. I so second.
Come again. This is law. This is law making. So clarity. Before you use mutandis to confuse us. so explain further.
Maybe you have to move the motion. When you move, say that you move anywhere you have a man, a woman, there should be, and then say mutatis mutandis. Then I second.
You can say
add mutatis mutandis.
So you want him to add man, woman, or male?
No, any man, any. Okay. Let me read what I second.
Okay, go on.
That I second the motion ably moved by him, that in section 2, subsection 1, where you have a woman, it should be any person. Where you have her, should be against his or her. And subsection 2, where you have woman or girl, a woman, it should be a person. Where you have her or her, it should be he or her. Where you have a brothel, well, that one is not part of his motion. So, mutatis mutandis. I so second.
Okay, what you are saying is that in section 2, subsection 1, any person who detains a woman, or a man,
yes,
and or a girl or a boy against his or her will, in or upon any premises, in order to did you see the mistake there? In order to have been No, sorry, let's correct this. Huh? But we are trying to ensure. Okay, that's a pertinent observation. A motion has been moved by the leader of the Senate and concurred by the minority leader that we step down and contact our colleagues in the House of Representatives before we can go further to concur with the bill on the Criminal Code Act Amendment 2025. Those in support that we step down and communicate the observation to the House of Representatives.
Point of order.
Yes.
Mr. President, thank you very much, sir. In supporting, in fact, if you look at my notes, I also added 10 years. Because these are serious offenses, and sometimes they lead to permanent injury to those who are victims. Even 10 years is still very, very lenient. But perhaps this is also the opportunity to reiterate what I said earlier, namely that we shouldn't limit it It should not be limited to boy or girl, man or woman. It should also, it should not be restricted to boy or girl or man and woman. It should include boys and men.
Well, the preponderance of opinion is that stricto sensu that you are expected to second.
Will with your permission, sir, if I do exercise this privilege, will I be able to raise my own?
That will be additional prayer.
Okay.
That means that's the additional amendment.
I stand corrected, Mr. President.
That means you are amending the motion. You are amending the motion. You are not seconding the motion.
Yes, I thought I can amend it subject to his...
No. Okay, so when we come to further amendment, we can ask you. So let us hear from the Distinguished Senator Nweboye. Penal Code Act Amendment Bill 2025, HB 151. Clause by clause consideration. Long title on page 1. Those in support that this forms part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 2 to 5. Those in Clause 2. Clause 2, yes. Down in view of the conviction, but if you have anything to add, you can say.
Thank you very much, sir. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan.
As Chair, very distinguished colleagues, I listened yet again to distinguished Senator Abdul Nengi, and I totally agree with him as to the danger of passing this provision as it is. And I have two proposals for consideration by our colleagues, and if they make sense, then we can proceed to make a further amendment on that basis. One is to say that it is not in all circumstances that the act of procuring these drugs for the purpose of carrying out an abortion that will be illegal. It's not going to be in all circumstances. In other words, my response here will be for us to provide for a proviso, include a proviso, because where a certified medical doctor, for reasons of medical emergency, make such a prescription, I don't think it would be unlawful. And that was why the word unlawful was used. So I would be proposing that we add that proviso. The second observation that I have is if you look at the provisions of this section 4, again, that's amendment of section 234. If you look at 4, well, the title itself is supplying drugs or instruments to procure abortion. So it is intended, or it is assumed, that there is a child in the embryo, all right? But if you look at the wordings of the provision, it says, any person who unlawfully supplies to or procures for any person anything, whatever, knowing that it is intended to be unlawfully used to procure the miscarriage of a woman. Now note, whether she is or is not with child, is guilty of a felony and is liable to imprisonment for 5 years. In other words, distinguished colleagues, the words, whether she is or is not with child, cannot go with the intendment of this provision. If the woman is without a child, then you can't be talking of abortion. You can only talk of abortion where indeed and truly there's a child.
And that must have been certified by a doctor.
Thank you, sir.
That there is a child inside.
The person must have passed a pregnancy test.
Yes.
And someone without a child in the womb cannot pass a pregnancy test, so there will be nothing to abort.
And so why do you send the person without a child?
Yes.
To 5 years imprisonment?
My proposal in this day would be that we delete those words. We delete those words. Whether she is or is not with child. That is whether she is or is not pregnant. Somebody who is not pregnant cannot.
It calls for a deeper reflection. My opinion would be that maybe we just step down for that constitution, send it back to the committee so that they can do a better job. Because we are talking about people's freedom.
Yes, sir.
We are talking about people's liberty.
Yes.
And then, like Senator Ningi observed, it goes beyond the person who buys the drug.
Yeah.
It also affects the person who sells the drug. And then it also even affects the person who takes the drug and the manufacturer.
So if we're able to step it down for a week or two and allow Committee on Judiciary.
Exactly, to look at it and come up with a better advice. So, distinguished Deputy Senate President, you may wish to move a motion to that.
Mr. President,
that we extend our time beyond 3 o'clock to be able to complete matters on the other people.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion will be, and then we write to the House of Representatives on this major observation, because what Senator Oshiomole has observed, the world has changed. So since the reference is to boy, to girl and woman in the case of rape, the world has changed. Even young boys are being molested and raped and forced into things against their will. And some of them do not even know what is happening. I'm talking in terms of homosexuality. So whilst the criminal act made provision for rape, rape has changed. Even boys can now be raped. So I don't know how you intend to handle it, but I think that for us to proceed, the observation is very germane. Senator Monguno?
Well, Mr. President, the observation by